At 11 years old, Carrie was still a sensitive child who deeply loved his mom and dad and depended on them for his own feelings of love and security. He was a skinny boy with shoulder-length blonde hair which he kept loose. He loved school and had a group of friends he really liked. So what if they were mostly girls? He knew that if he was too influenced by them and started to take on their manner, he would slowly become one of them. His world is not like ours. Here, the birth of boys outnumbers the birth of girls 5-1. The ratio of adult men to women, however, is nearly even due to a different evolutionary history. A little feminine influence on a boy, especially before the age of 14, can cause the boy's body to change in subtle ways towards the feminine. Many boys allowed a little touch of the feminine, and the girls love giving a little touch to boys. It was an enjoyable, sometimes daring way of flirting enjoyed on both sides. It is knowing the limits that boys needed to become men. The alternative is being halfway or totally submerged in the feminine. Mothers were also inclined to impart something feminine to their boys. Some mothers are satisfied with a little change, others get addicted to change and can't help themselves. The urge to feminize boys is strong in women and girls, being the result of a long evolutionary history. Evolution has worked out a way to correct the gender imbalance in births and is also repeated in the animal world. Fiona, Carrie's mom, loved Carrie and wanted to give him something feminine, but her husband Paul watched her like a hawk. He wanted Carrie to be all man. He knew that on average, 2 out of 5 boys turned into girls by the time puberty hit, evening out the number of girls to boys. As Carrie was their only child, Paul wanted him to stay a boy and encouraged him in masculine activities. Carrie's next-door neighbor, 13-year-old Faye, spent a lot of time with Carrie and tried to feminize him in small ways all the time. Carrie was one of the careful kids when it came to feminizing. He knew his dad was wary of any feminizing influences on him. He also saw many of his friends let their girlfriends do little things to them, like soften their skin by giving them massages with moisturizer, or give them a waist or hips by making them wear waist cinchers or panties. The boys had to be careful because if they did it for too long, the changes would become permanent. They often did it for a weekend and their bodies would slowly regain their original shape within a week. Sometimes when the girl asked the boy to do the same thing every weekend, then the changes were slower to disappear. Overlapping the cincher or panty effect made the change more persistent. Recently, Faye was trying to give Carrie a friendship bangle made of white lace. Carrie had seen these before. They had the effect of slimming the wrists, hands, and fingers. Faye was interested in manicures and wanted to play with Carrie's nails. Carrie had resisted this little temptation because he enjoyed his big boy hands. Carrie had seen the effect of these bangles. They affected the boy's grip strength firstly, but if it was worn for more than 2 days, his arms would start to lose muscle mass and look more like a girl's. The worst thing a boy could do was to wear a panty girdle, as this had the rapid effect of diminishing the boy's penis and pushed his testicles into his body so that outwardly he looked like a girl. Some thrill-seeker teens and adults made a habit of putting them on for very brief periods of time to see what would happen. The worst-case scenario was when the girdles were produced at card nights and used as dares. The more risk-taking gens were soon turned into girls for the night, if they took them off in time. Some became women permanently. If a boy was madly in love and let the girl get away with more, he was soon on the road to total conversion. Carrie came home from school one day to find her mother sitting on the couch in the lounge room crying. "Mom, what's the matter? Why are you crying?" Fiona kept crying, too overcome to speak. Carrie sat next to her and put his arms around her shoulders and hugged her. He remained quiet, letting his mom get whatever it was out of her system. Finally she slowed her tears, sobbing in fits and gasps, then she stopped and sighed. Carrie was worried. What could make her mom cry so? "Oh, you are a dear to comfort me so," Fiona said, giving Carrie a hug. Carrie loved the intimacy of her hug, her lavender smell, her soft skin on his neck. She sat back, sat up straight and took his hands in hers and laid them in her lap. Carrie felt the soft fabric gently flutter next to his skin, the warmth coming from her thighs. Carrie, I'm sorry that you found me like that. We're both going to have to be stronger now. Why, what's the matter, Mum? Carrie exclaimed. Your dad has left us, Fiona said. Why, Mum, why? Carrie pleaded. He fell for another woman, someone from his work. He wouldn't tell me who, Fiona said. He has gone to live with her. He left me a note. It seems he was transferred to Sydney. He knew weeks ago but didn't tell us. He moved there today with his new girlfriend and left us all alone, Fiona managed to say between small sobs. He wrote that he will give us some money every month, but it's not going to be enough. We're going to have to live very carefully. Maybe you may even have to get some part-time work. Carrie thought about the news. How cruel Dad had been. He left without any goodbyes or warning. Carrie started to cry and hugged his mother again. There, said Fiona, stroking his long golden hair. We'll survive, you'll see, Fiona said. We just need to get through this tough time until we settle into our new life without him. Carrie sobbed some more, crying on her shoulder. Fiona's hand came up to his head and stroked his hair. He snuggled in more, feeling comforted. Fiona kept stroking his hair, running her fingers through it. Carrie's sobs died down when he felt his hair being arranged differently. Carrie, you like me playing with your hair, don't you? Fiona said. She was glad for the distraction. So was Carrie, but he didn't want to spoil the mood by saying no and being on the safe side, avoiding any hint of the feminine. Yeah, it's kinda nice, he said, hoping it wasn't too an enthusiastic response, just wanting it to last a little longer. Fiona suddenly brightened a little. She thought it would be good to feminize Carrie just a little, style his hair a touch. At the back of her mind, she was thinking that would show Paul for leaving them. Wait there, Carrie, I'll get a brush and brush it out a little. It's a bit messy, she said. Fiona quickly got to her feet and headed for her dresser. She came back soon, holding a brush in her hand and a light red, almost pink silk scrunchie on her wrist. She kept her wrist out of sight as she turned Carrie around facing the window. Then she started to brush his hair in long, slow strokes. Carrie liked the feel and hoped she would do the brushing for a while longer. Stroke after stroke of the brush glided through his hair. With each stroke, it got a little thicker and slightly shinier. Fiona noticed the change in the quality of his hair, becoming softer and silkier. She didn't want to frighten him, so she stopped before it started becoming more noticeable and gathered his hair in a ponytail, a little higher than a boy would have it, and put the scrunchie on. She looped it 3 times, making it tight. Carrie could feel his hair being gathered back, a little high for him, but he didn't want to break the spell of intimacy at the moment and let Fiona have her way. He felt his hair being tightened, made into a ponytail. He tried to feel it. No, don't do that, Carrie. Don't muck it up, Fiona pleaded. Carrie put his hand down, never feeling the soft silk scrunchie, not knowing it was not a normal hair elastic. Fiona loved the way Carrie looked. She realized that she wanted to do more, to make him more feminine. She realized in her heart of hearts that she wanted a daughter to relate with in her time of despair. That looks so much neater, Carrie. We'll have to make sure your hair is well looked after. We've got to cope with what your father has done, and maintaining our appearance and grooming is one way to show the world that we are not going to give up, that we'll survive without him, that we still have our pride, Fiona said with gathering strength in her voice. Come on, Carrie, time to get some dinner ready. Will you help me tonight? I feel like your company, Fiona asked. Yeah, all right, Mum, but remember I'll need to study later, he reminded his mother. Sure, Carrie, you can start after the dinner is in the oven. What shall I start with, Mum? Carrie asked. Could you be a dear and peel the potatoes first? Fiona asked. Sure, Mum, he said. He went to the pantry and got the potato bag out. Mum, the potatoes are dirty, what will I do? Carrie said. Carrie, they're brushed potatoes, you'll need to wash them before you peel them. Put them in the sink, then come here, she said. Carrie let 3 large potatoes tumble from the bag into the sink. He turned around and put the potato bag back in the pantry. He turned around only to have his path blocked by his mother. "Carrie, you're going to get your school uniform dirty if you don't wear an apron, so you're going to have to put this on." Carrie looked at the crumpled pale blue cloth in his mother's hands. "Okay," he said, "I'll put one on." "Good," said his mother, "put your arms up so that I can get it on you. This only one I have and it's a bit feminine, so I'll have to get you a more appropriate one later." Carrie wondered how a blue apron could be feminine as he held up his arms. He looked up as his mother gathered the blue cloth in her hands and spread it out so that it formed 2 small holes and a larger hole at the center. His arms were sewn through the smaller outside holes and his head through the middle one. Fiona lowered the apron down over Carrie's body. He looked down and saw what his mother had meant. 2 lace-lined ties started from the middle of his belly, passed over 2 large lace-lined pockets and around the back. The bib of the apron covered most of his chest and came over his shoulders to form the top. The sides of the bib went around his sides and created a drop-back look at the back. The skirt of the apron fell to just below his knees, hiding his shorts entirely. He twisted his around and saw the skirt lace-lined edges of the apron overlapped at the back but were joined at the waist. Carrie suspected but didn't want to say out loud that the apron looked a lot like a dress, especially since one could not see that he was wearing shorts underneath. "How is that, sweetie?" Fiona asked. "Do you mind wearing that apron?" Carrie wasn't going to say anything, but now he was forced to. He thought for a moment, then said, "Mum, it's a bit girly all right, but if you are going to buy me a more appropriate one later, it doesn't matter to me at the moment." Carrie made sure that his acceptance wasn't an invitation for him to wear it with an open-ended time frame. Fiona was glad. She liked the way Carrie looked, with his hair in a feminine-style ponytail and apron that looked like a summer dress. She hoped that he would keep it on. Carrie was a little uncomfortable in the apron but went about his task, washing the potatoes. He was glad he had the apron on as it was streaked with splashes of dirty water when he washed the potatoes. He kept feeling the hem of the apron brush against the backs of his calves. What a strange feeling he got when that happened. Soon the potatoes were washed and peeled. Fiona took them from him and asked him to peel some carrots while she put the potatoes in the roasting pan. Carrie soon forgot he was wearing a pretty apron and continued to help with the dinner. Soon the dinner was in the oven and Carrie asked his mum to take the apron off. "Oh, you look so sweet in that apron, but it is dirty, so we'll get it off you. Turn around," Fiona said. Carrie was relieved. He didn't want his mum to keep him in such a girly apron. He was sure that would be just the thing which would turn him in the direction of girlhood if he had it on long enough. His mother soon had the apron off but noticed Carrie's hands. "Oh dear," she exclaimed, "look at your hands. They are so rough from the work you have been doing." "Here, Carrie," she said, "rub is some hand cream, it'll stop the skin on your hands from cracking." Carrie spread some cream onto his hands and rubbed it in. The cream seemed to just sink in without leaving a trace. He was surprised, but Fiona said, "There, Carrie, that just shows you how dry your skin was. Keep the tube and rub some cream in morning and night." Carrie took the tube of hand cream and put it in the bathroom. As he turned, he caught sight of his hair and saw how much thicker and wavier it looked. He also noticed the silky scrunchie. He looked like a feminine boy. He put his hand up to it to feel it when he saw how pale and narrow his hands looked, almost like a girl's. Carrie's stomach felt like it was flipping. His hands and his hair looked feminine. He didn't want to go down this girlish path, yet he needed to be close to his mother. It was too late to change what had happened, but he would do what he could to avoid any rift with his mother, now that his father had gone. He decided to leave his hair like it was, pretend he hadn't noticed what his mother had done with it. Carrie went to his room to study. He sat down on his bed with his bag and pulled out his notes. He noticed that his hands looked slightly more pale and slender than usual. He held up his hands in front of himself, palms away from him. Was it just his imagination, or were his nails ever so slightly longer and narrower, curving gracefully just beyond the tips of his fingers? They didn't seem so graceful before. Chapter 2. Wake up Carrie's sleepy head, Fiona yelled from the hall as she walked from the shower to her room to get dressed. Carrie rubbed the sleep from his eyes. He climbed numbly from bed, eyes still half closed, and headed for the bathroom. He undressed and stepped into the shower. He turned on the hot water and stood under a steady stream of hot water, finally coming fully awake. He looked for his soap and realized he had used it up the previous day along with his usual shampoo. "Mom, can you get me some more of my soap and shampoo?" "I've run out," yelled Carrie. "I haven't had time to do any shopping, dear. You'll just have to use mine," yelled Fiona. Fiona loved the idea that Carrie had to use her scented soap. He'd come out of the shower smelling like a floral bouquet. The thought gave her a little shiver of excitement. Maybe she wouldn't buy him his own soaps anymore, she thought. That way he would always smell pretty. She wondered what other little feminine things she could introduce to Carrie's life. Carrie soaped himself up smelling the floral soap. He was a little concerned, but soon he got used to the smell and forgot his concern. The shampoo had a similar smell to it which by then did not concern Carrie, but the fragrance would linger in his hair all day. Carrie soon hopped out of the shower and dried himself down with the fresh fluffy towel. Just as he had dropped the towel, Fiona walked in on him holding a container of powder. Carrie dived for the towel. "Don't be bashful, Carrie. I've been looking after you all your life and I've seen it all before. Here, use this powder on your skin, it will feel so nice and soft afterwards," Fiona said. "Mom, boys don't do that sort of thing," exclaimed Carrie. "Look, Carrie, who will know? Not your dad, for goodness sake. Just learn to relax a bit and learn how to pamper yourself," Fiona exclaimed. But whined Carrie. "Your father is not here anymore to criticize. Enjoy the freedom without him looking over your shoulder. Free yourself of all that macho stuff he was so worried about, Carrie. I'm the only one that will know, and I like the idea that you are free to pamper yourself without his negativity," Fiona said. Carrie could see her point. He didn't have to worry what Dad would think anymore. It would be like a revenge on him if he ignored the things that he worried about. "You're right, Mum. Why should I worry about what Dad would think? He's lost his right to criticize me for the things I do," said Carrie. Fiona smiled and puffed the powder of Carrie's skin. He smiled as he turned around while Fiona covered him in sweet-smelling powder. "Rub it in, Carrie. Feel how smooth and soft it makes your skin feel." "Don't you like it?" she asked. "Yes, I do like it, Mum. Thanks." Carrie smiled to think of their little conspiracy against his dad. "Carrie, I looked for a clean set of undies for you, but to tell the truth, I've been so worried about your dad lately and his behavior before he left that I didn't keep up with the washing. I've found these undies and a top that you could wear though. They're not too feminine. Well, at least they're white," said Fiona, handing him some folded garments. Carrie looked worried. "Mom, you haven't given me your stuff, have you?" "I couldn't wear your undies, Mom. I couldn't," he protested. "Look, I'll unfold them and then you can decide for yourself," explained Fiona as she flicked open the undies and top. The undies were just like his cotton briefs except that it was a higher cut and the elastic was thin and flat, and there wasn't any reinforcement in the front. They looked acceptable, thought Carrie. No one would pick it at a casual glance, and who would look anyway? He thought. The top was a lady's spencer with small lace trim around the scoop neckline, the sleeves and bottom, hardly noticeable really. "Okay, Mom, they're not too bad. I guess I could wear them. But don't tell anyone and make sure you do the undies today. Okay?" Carrie tried to plead. "Sorry, Carrie, I can't do the washing. I have to go out soon and hunt down a better paying job." "If you want them done, you'll have to learn your way around the laundry yourself," Fiona reasoned. "While you're at it you can do my undies at the same time." "It's your day off school today, so I'll show you what to do before I go," Fiona said as Carrie put on his new undies. "Now doesn't that look nice on you?" exclaimed Fiona. "Make sure you look after them. They're too small for me, so you may as well have them." Carrie's heart beat harder for a minute. He wasn't expecting to own them, just wear them for a day. He felt funny standing in his mother's underwear, the way they fitted so snugly against his skin. He was conscious of the little lace trim. Finally he caught his breath and his wits. "Mom, I can't own these. What will people think?" he wailed. "And who is going to know except you and me? Anyway, we have to save where we can until our finances are in order, so helping me also means sharing what we have until we can afford new things." Carrie looked down past his new Spencer and undies, down to his feet. He was glum with the realization that life had just changed for the weird and it was all of his dad's fault. "Come on, Carrie, don't look so glum. Here, put on your boy clothes over the top. You'll soon forget what you've got underneath, and it's good incentive for you to get the washing done." "Okay, Mom, I'll finish dressing," he said as he walked to his room. Fiona walked with him and watched him get changed. "Come here, I'll do your hair. It's so soft and shiny after you used my shampoo." "I like how it looks, Carrie," Fiona said as she went to her room. Carrie followed her into her room. "Now sit on my makeup stool, honey, and I'll soon get the tangles out of your hair." Carrie sat down at the dresser, looking at his reflection. Fiona felt a tingle knowing that she could get Carrie into her underwear so easily. She wanted to dare a bit more while she took up the brush. She decided she would do something to his hair, style it to be a bit more feminine. Carrie was sitting unaware of what his mom was thinking, lost in his own thoughts. "What is Mom doing to me? Is she planning this, or is it just as it seems?" His thoughts were interrupted when Fiona started to brush. She brushed as she did yesterday, in long, even strokes. Carrie liked the feeling and closed his eyes. Fiona saw him close his eyes, knowing he enjoyed it and loving the smell of flowers wafting up from his hair with every brushstroke. He should have been a girl, thought Fiona. I wish he was a girl, she thought. Soon Carrie's hair was free of tangles, his hair just a little longer and now slightly more wavy. "Carrie, be good for Mummy and let me try something, okay?" she said. Carrie hadn't heard her refer to herself as Mummy for a long time, and he was so surprised he thought he would rub it in a bit and said in a baby voice, "Sure, Mummy, I'll let you play with my hair." Fiona laughed and Carrie joined in as she said, "That was so cute, honey bun. I just love it when you call me Mummy. You should do it more often," and she gave him a quick peck on the cheek. "Okay, Mummy," Carrie said with a giggle, "if you like Mummy." Fiona laughed at Carrie's antics but hoped he would. He sounded just like a little girl. She loved it. She picked up a comb and ran it up the middle of his hair and divided it into 2 sections. She gathered the hair from one half and bunched it just behind his ear and put a hair tie in. She then repeated the process on the other side. "Oh, by the way, while I'm out, could you be a honey and do some extra chores? I've got a list on the kitchen table." Knowing that he had to help, he resigned himself to his fate and said, "Okay, Mom, I'll try my best. And I don't want you to ruin your clothes, so you will have to wear another apron while you do your chores," Fiona reasoned. This time, Fiona was holding her pink apron, which Carrie recognized. It had more lace on it than the previous one, and this was a lot longer. "Mom, do I have to?" Carrie complained. "Yes, you do, Carrie. Now don't keep complaining. You're making this hard for yourself and for me." "As I don't have enough to worry about," Fiona said, raising her voice. Carrie felt guilty, causing his mum more grief. He began to cry. "Sorry, Mum. Mummy, it's hard for me too, and I forget how you are still hurting. I'll try and be good, I really will." "Okay, now, let's put this on you before I go, and I'll get you a treat on the way home. I should be home for dinner," Fiona said as she hugged Carrie. She released him and unfolded the apron. "Now hold out your arms, Carrie," she said. Carrie held out his arms and watched as the pink apron slid up his arms and was wrapped around him. Fiona tried up the ties in a big complicated bow with 4 loops. She seemed to take forever, so Carrie looked over his shoulder, past the ruffles sticking up at the shoulders. He saw a large ruffled complicated bow. "How am I going to get this off when I've finished, Mom?" he asked. "Don't worry about that, darling, if you can't get it off. When you finish your chores, I'll do it when I get home. Now I must fly. Bye-bye, she said as she walked past him, collected her bag and went through the front door. Carrie was about to follow and had half opened the door when he realized how he must look. The skirt of the apron completely encircled his legs. It looked like he had a dress on and his hair in 2 ponytails. He quickly changed his mind and shut the door. He went to his mother's room and stood in front of the mirror. He looked just like a girl. He hadn't noticed that his mom had tied in 2 pink ribbons in his hair at the base of the ponytails. How did this transformation take place in such a short space of time? Carrie began to cry. The changes were too fast for him. I don't want to be a girl, he thought. I'm a boy and look what Mom has done to me. Carrie got angry and put his hands up to untie the ribbons. The bow was not in a simple bow knot as he thought and found it too difficult to untie them without seeing what he was doing. He tried to pull them off. The first one was difficult because it was on tight and he noticed some hair came out with the ribbon. The second one was harder to pull off. He finally got it off, but a larger chunk of hair came with it. He then turned his attention to the apron that looked suspiciously like a dress. He twisted his body around to see the knot that held the apron on him. It was another complicated knot that he attempted to untie. His back muscles hurt as he kept twisting around and he became frustrated when all he succeeded in doing was to tighten the knot. He soon gave up with tears of frustration and sat on his mother's bed. I'll show her, he thought. I'll get this apron really dirty, then she won't put me I won again. Maybe I'll even rip it a bit. His tears stopped and he marched off to the kitchen with new resolve. He looked at the list of chores. Good, he thought, lots of opportunity to wreck this apron. The list of chores started with clean the kitchen after breakfast, put the undies in the wash, hers and his put on a gentle warm cycle. Get some chicken out of the freezer for dinner, vacuum the house. Carrie got some cereal and milk poured both in a bowl and sat down. He noticed how the skirt of the apron looked like a dress, all pink and covering his lap. As he ate, he settled down a little and decided that he was too hasty. After all, he could talk to his mom and tell her he didn't like what she had done. He resolved to leave the apron on and do the chores the best way he could. Carrie got up from the table and was soon doing the chores. He made sure that his undies were washed as he didn't want to give his mom any more excuses to dress him in women's clothes. As he went about the chores, he noticed how the apron restricted his stride just a little as the skirt was long and narrow. He didn't mind it though, as it was all a new experience for him. He did find his hair was annoying as now that it was loose, it was constantly getting in his eyes. As he was getting the underwear out of the dryer, he heard the doorbell chime. Oh no, he thought, who could that be? He had no choice but to go and open the door. He hesitated at the door and he did not have a spy hole to look through. At the door was Faye, his next-door neighbor and friend. Oh no! Carrie thought, I'll pretend wearing this doesn't bother me and maybe Faye won't make a fuss or go too overboard. Carrie, she yelped in surprise. You've got a pink frilly apron on. Mom put it on me, 'cause I'm doing a whole lot of chores, Carrie said, trying not to sound too upset. Want to come in? Do I ever, you look so cute, Faye said as she walked past Carrie at the door. Carrie raised his eyebrows and flashed a look up to heaven, looking for help. But it was not forthcoming. Faye turned and examined Carrie from head to toe. Carrie, you look so girly in that apron. Do you like wearing it? She asked. Well, I didn't at first, but you can almost get used to wearing anything, I suppose. I've been doing some chores for Mom and she didn't want me to ruin my clothes. Now I'm just used to wearing it, but I don't like it, Carrie said. We have to be really careful from now on since Dad left us 3 days ago. We don't know what we will live on, he explained. I'm so sorry to hear that, Carrie. I hope things work out for you, Faye said. Maybe I could get you some part-time work in the shop I work in. I never thought to ask you before, but now I think you could fit right in, offered Faye. Could you ask Faye? I would appreciate it if you did. By the way, what sort of shop is it? Carrie, don't worry, You could do it. It's just specialty clothing. I just thought, seeing you in that get-up, you shouldn't object to wearing that friendship bangle that I've been wanting you to wear, Faye stated, looking at his wrists. I'll go home and get it now. She turned and rushed out the door. No, wait, yelled Carrie, but now it was too late and he didn't want to run out of the house in that apron. Carrie quickly finished putting the washing into piles before Faye got back. Faye was back beside Carrie before he finished. Here, I'll help with your chores today. You look like you have heaps to do. But first, slide this on. Carrie took the friendship bangle, a white circle of lace, and slipped it over his hand and onto his wrist. It fitted snugly and looked kind of in place with the apron as a backdrop. Faye gave Carrie a little peck on the side of the cheek. There, that wasn't too bad, was it, Carrie? Asked Faye. No, I guess not, smiled Carrie. Faye looked around the room and noticed the 2 pink ribbons still tied and with hair in them. Oh, look at those, she exclaimed. Looks like someone has been naughty and pulled them out without untying them. She then realized they were Carrie's. Hey, did your mummy make you wear these ribbons? Yes, she put them in this morning without me knowing about it. When I found out, I guess I got angry and pulled them out, Carrie explained, but now I'm sorry I did it, 'cause Mom will be angry and she is already upset at Dad leaving. Faye looked at Carrie and said, I'll put them back in for you. I'm sure you'll look cuter than ever. But I don't want to look cute, I want to look like a regular boy. Carrie almost yelled. Carrie, don't yell, I'm only trying to help anyway. Let me brush your hair, it'll be fun, Faye asked. Okay, but just the 2 ponytails, and anyway, I don't think it's fun, he said. Carrie felt himself change slightly as Faye brushed his hair. He knew something was happening, but not what it was. He had his hands folded in the lap of his apron, his friendship bangle seeming to become tighter on his wrist. He felt the brush glide over his scalp and brushed the back of his neck. It felt pleasant, but he knew as a boy he should not be feeling these things. Carrie felt the ponytails being put back into place, then the ribbons were tied back in. There, now you look just like a girl. A girl called Carrie. Oops, I shouldn't have said that, Faye mumbled. Yes, you're right, I do look like a girl. I hope I don't change into one, exclaimed Carrie. This is only for today while I'm doing the chores anyway. Mom said she will have a surprise for me when she gets home. Oh, can I stay and see what the surprise is, Carrie? I guess so. I hope it's some new clothes. Mine are getting a little worn out and a bit short on me. Carrie, I have an idea. Since you're in the apron and your hair looks so nice, how about if I put just a touch of makeup on you, just to complete the look? Well, I've finished my chores. I suppose it won't hurt to muck around a bit, he said, but nothing too loud or nothing permanent. Great, let's go to your mom's bedroom, suggested Faye. Carrie was soon sitting on the dresser seat having his eyebrow shaped a little bit as Faye said. Your eyebrows are too bushy, Carrie. I'll just neaten up the stray hairs, she assured Carrie. She was soon satisfied and applied eyebrow liner, then mascara. She then put a little light pink eyeshadow on his lids and blush on his cheeks. Finally, she put a light link lipstick on his lips. You look gorgeous, Carrie. Just the way I do my own makeup. We look like sisters, or at least girlfriends, she said. Carrie looked down at his lap. Don't say that, Faye. Now I'm all confused. Why did I let you do this to me? I'm a boy. I shouldn't let this be happening to me. But it is. Now my face looks girlish. What will become of me? Carrie whispered. Faye whispered back, don't think about it. If you enjoy doing it, it can't be wrong, can it? There was a noise at the door. Fiona was standing in the doorway, with a look of surprise and glee on her face. Well, look at you, Carrie. Don't you look oh so pretty? Faye joined in the excitement. I did her face. Doesn't she look good? I thought she looked like a girl, Carrie too. Carrie was too stunned to say anything. It was such a shock to realize his mom had seen him like this. Well, thank you, Faye. You are such a sweet friend for Carrie. You will have to come over more often and play together. I just got Carrie her own little surprise. Come and get it, Carrie, Fiona said. Carrie was still shocked, the bee referred to as Carrie and her. He slowly stood up from the stool and walked over to his mom. She stood there with a small pile of shopping. Here you are, look what I brought for you, Fiona said excitedly. Carrie picked up the pile of shopping bags and put them on her mother's bed. The first bag was emptied out on the bed. 5 packages of girls' briefs in pastel colors lay on the bed. The delicate lace-lined elastics were easily visible. Oh, don't they look pretty, Carrie, exclaimed Faye. Carrie was complaining she didn't have her own pretty undies this morning, so I got her some. Carrie stood and stared, still not trusting his tongue. Faye upended the next shopping bag. Out popped 4 training bras. Carrie, it's about time you stopped pretending that you are a boy and realized that from now on, you are going to be my daughter, Fiona said. That way your daddy won't want to take you away from me and you will be happier with me. But Mummy, I'm a boy. Carrie pleaded, I don't want to be a girl. Well, how do you explain the way you look now? Would a boy let a girl put makeup on his face? But it wasn't like that, it was. Carrie was confused. He stopped speaking, giving in, accepting that he had let Faye make him look the way he did. He tried to reason why he had done it. Now his mummy and Faye wanted him to be a girl. While he was thinking these things, the next bag was upended and out on the bed lay 2 dresses and 3 skirts and 4 pairs of girls' ankle socks. Dear, you are going to wear dresses and skirts from now on, until your little winky disappears inside your body and you become a real girl.